I've never really been an Animal Crossing guy. Now, stop typing up the comments, I'll give a mediocre explanation. I love the idea of playing the game and the art style of the games, but the real-time mechanic kinda just wasn't really for me, and the time travel was just way too much work to get around it. With that being said, no offense to any fans out there, I respect the series, but the gameplay loop of like talking and decorating combines my least favorite parts of one of my favorite games, Stardew Valley. I suck at decorating in every game I play, and when the end game is basically just decorate, not really gonna be for me. But when I saw an early access game called Dinkum pop in my feed on Steam, I knew right away that I was gonna be in love with this game and marry it and live a long and happy life with it. Kidding. I probably looked at this game and thought something like, great, another Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing-esque game. But I begrudgingly bought the game and installed it and launched it out. This is pretty much my experience playing an Animal Crossing-esque game as someone who doesn't like Animal Crossing. I was greeted by a pretty standard character creation screen. I created my lovely character, chose a creative name and an even more creative island name, and launched in. The opening cutscene was basically, city that is bad and stuff. Wowzers, a help wanted request. Lady wants me to go to random island. And a few seconds of black screen later, I arrived in nowhere. Unfortunately, I forgot to mention this game is set in Australia, so nothing was there. End of the video. See you guys. Bad jokes aside, I was instantly greeted by like, how do I put this nicely? It was very, very similar to the Animal Crossing opening, which I guess I should expect. But like, the first thing you have to do is place down a base camp, which I chose to do in the middle of some bones since it was, you know, metal AF. Then my house. A critical element in any game, I needed to find a good spot. Yeah, alright, this seems good. Oh, did I just place it backwards? Okay. But anyways, I placed down a visiting site in the correct orientation for a shopkeeper named John so we could visit and sell us stuff. Then I got my journal, which is going to be very important since I kept track of most of the important things in there. A couple of berries for the lady, an escape from a violent killer bird, and a campfire later. I was done all of my work today and told to relax. However, relaxation was not an option since I was given a bug net and I really wanted to use that. But before I used the bug net, I collected all of my milestones in the journal since I'd done a bunch of random mundane stuff, and a couple of successful catches and unsuccessful catches later, I headed to bed on some random beach since I wanted to start cracking at the next couple of quests next day. After running home from my beach, I saw John had arrived. When I got back at camp, I talked to the lady again and I was introduced to the license system. Like Animal Crossing, you need a license to do almost anything in this game. Chop down trees, break rocks, dig holes, you name it. And once you buy the first license, there's more to it. You can buy a higher tier of license, you can get higher tier tools and make stronger tools, etc. And I had just enough points for a logging license from those old things I collected, so I bought it and headed over to John to buy some tools. I had no money, so I sold my bugs and was very surprised that only 5 bugs sold for almost 5k dinks. Really? Dinks. Questionable currency name choices aside, I had just enough money to buy a table saw for a quest, my first axe, and an extra bug net in case mine broke. After dilly-dallying around for a little bit, trying out my new axe, I headed back to Fletch, who I've previously been calling Lady, but since, you know, it's kind of dehumanizing, I'll be nicer to her and use her real name. However, she didn't really seem to care about my sudden change of heart because she had more work for me to do. I needed to collect tin ore to make a furnace, so I grabbed the license to make a pickaxe, then realized I was broke as hell, so I went out and grabbed a billion bugs. Sold them for 11k dink. I just can't. I sold them for 11k gold and bought a pickaxe. I was a little worried that I almost passed out trying to break a single rock and only had 2 cooked figs to eat, so I had to kill some of the animals for meat, and Jesus Christ, the sound these things make when you kill them is genuinely haunting. But I did what needed to be done and returned home to cook my 5 meats. A bit later, I went to get more stone so I can make a couple more campfires, 1 for the quest and 1 for me so I can be a real chef and cook many things at once. But little did I know, you actually can't just walk through the fire. So I straight up just lit myself on fire. I had no idea what to do, so I just ran to the water in a panic, and yeah, I learned a valuable lesson that day to not do that again. But you know, after patching myself off with a little bit of food, I went to grab more resources for Fletch till it got dark, and the thanks she gave me for this was more tasks. Okay, I signed up for this, and this time she gives me the recipe for a crude furnace. I thankfully had all the resources I needed to make the furnace, so I just made it up, smelted up a little tin to see what the ruckus was about, and after setting myself myself on fire once more, I got my very first tin bar for Fletch. My reward for this again is she tells me how to make something else. This time crates. I mean, pretty useful. I can make storage. But holy, this lady knows how to do it all. She can... She also tells me to begin the John psyop. You are already aware of who John is. He is currently visiting the island as a shopkeeper and sells us lots of useful items. However, he is far too valuable to let him walk free. We need to keep him here. We're going to do that by doing favors for him and slowly build up our trust and keep him here forever. So of course I gotta find John and start doing quests for him. I look around, see he's taking a late night swim. After a quick check around to see if anyone was watching, I hop in with him and join him to have a little conversation. He asked for a seemingly simple favor. Go catch a centipede. That seems easy enough. So went on the quest late at night thinking, hey, it's gonna be a piece of cake. But little did I realize I would spend the entire night looking for a centipede, finding every single other insect except a centipede. It was also getting late and I was really tired, so I decided to just camp tonight randomly and sleep next to this rock. Oh yeah, I'd also been completing a ton of random quests in my journal just from playing the game normally, so I snagged a bunch more licenses, noted down what I would need to get myself a couple of weapons so I could finally move away from the stupid limes and towards a diet of nothing but pure red meat. Oh yeah, and with all those points I grabbed from completing the journal, I went, bought my fishing license, and bought my very first fishing rod. Huge mistake. Now, it didn't seem like it would be a mistake at the time since I actually had a job from John to catch a certain fish, and I obviously would need a fishing rod to catch it. Unfortunately, you can't just use a net to catch fish. Holy, fishing in this game is hard. I spent literally all day, and I mean all day fishing, and I could not catch a single fish. Now, you know, people say fishing in Stardew Valley is hard, but holy, it was an absolute breeze in that game compared to this one. This honestly demoralized me so bad, I straight up just gave up and went home to go to bed. The next day, I had an annoying issue where the Windows hardware cursor wouldn't disappear, which made it really hard to play, so after a little troubleshooting, I eventually just gave up and started using a controller to play. This is also a good time to talk about another issue I had. So at the start of the game, the only way to rotate your camera using your mouse, you have to hold shift and then you can move your camera around, or you can hold middle button on your mouse and then you can move your camera around. Now I have no idea why they did this and why this setting is on by default, because you can actually go into settings and just turn it off and move the camera normally. So if you're someone who's been like using the shift key to move it the entire game, turn that off because it's just annoying and a waste of time. No idea why it's on by default. Sorry, mini rant aside, but you know, back to the video. John had a not impossible quest today. He wanted me to just buy this dress off him, which, you know, why does he have it? None of my business. I won't judge. I, of course, had to try it on. Sadly, wasn't really my style. Maybe I'll be bold enough someday. However, the dress was merely a distraction from my real goals, modern weaponry. Now, you see, I've been eating mainly limes, which do not give very much energy at all. And I did kill a couple of animals for meat a little earlier in the video. You might remember that. I personally remember it all too well. But it's very tedious since axes do not do very much damage. First world problem, I know, but it was bugging me, so I made my spear and look away. This footage is brutal. But hey, 19 pieces of meat, am I right? Oh yeah, this stupid tower thing also had a ton of random things it needed, so I donated some of the things I'd found from breaking open barrels all over the place. But who cares about that, since a few minutes later, I caught my first ever fish. With that victory still echoing in my skull, I headed off to bed. Next morning, dumbass John was looking for some new clothes, so I literally just gave him back a dress he sold me yesterday, and ironically enough, that backhanded move was just enough to convince him to stay on the island. I put the town 75k gold in debt, and did a bunch of things to build the shop for John to stay in, but, you know, after a little searching, I actually had all the things I needed. So I cooked up some of the meat that I got in a non-brutal and ethical way, then hit the hay after a long day's worth of farming materials and exploring. I woke up a couple hours later, took a look around right away, and was very excited to see that the store had finally finished building and was not open. I was very, very confused. I just couldn't go inside, so I just ran over to Fletch since I had no idea what was going on. But a little bit later, I finally put two and two together, and maybe it's too early, so I just carried on with my day and checked a little bit later to see I could finally go in. I took a look around and was shocked by the huge selection of new items, but honestly, what I was most excited about at this exact moment was that I could finally clean my inventory out of all these stupid bugs that I couldn't store in chests. The first purchase I made at the shop was just a random bar of copper since I thought, hey, why not? I'll always need copper. Very proud of my new copper, I decided to take my cooking skills to the next level and make a cooking table. I crafted it up, checked out the recipes I was given, but most of them required ingredients that I did not have. So I put that on hold for now and went back to the store to get a metal detector. And holy, this item is overpowered. I'll go more into it later. I used it right out of the box and immediately found something. Maybe it was gold. Diamonds, perhaps? Maybe buried treasure. Nope, it was 2 old gears. This was actually better than I thought initially at the time, but you'll see later. Metal detecting was way too satisfying to only do it once, so I put on my new chef pants and went on a quest to be the very best metal detector out there. As the day went on, I realized I spent the entire day just holding left click and digging every once in a while. A day well spent. Then I spotted a crocodile that was looking at me funny and decided to take one on for the very first time. It was a lot easier than I thought it would be. After that common Waligug W, I decided to catch a few more bugs and admire the land I owned, then headed home for a quick nap. Funnily enough, killing that crocodile had pushed me over the edge so I could get copper weapons now. However, it did require a level 2 hunting license, which I bought, which meant now I could craft copper weapons if I wanted to. I did my standard thing the rest of the day, you know how it is, but the stupid tower was really bugging me, so I decided to start working towards completing it. Next time! This video took longer than it should have to make, so make sure you leave a like and comment so it hopefully gets pushed. And if you guys did enjoy this one, I'll make a follow-up as soon as I can. More likes, I know you like it, so more likes, I'll probably rush making it more. Not as in rush to make it a worse video, as in rush to just get it out sooner.